with Warrior Trading. Gonna plow through a watch list here real quick. And then I'm gonna run out and get some dinner. Let me just get my channel set up here, and we'll run through some Warrior Trading. Sorry about that. Always get a little bit of feedback. Okay. All right. So the first thing we always like to do is run our scans. We have. After the market gapped and ran to highs today, and then even after hours, it's in the 190s now. We definitely are going to see some long bias results on the scanner, and there's 358 of them. We're only looking to take the best top best 2 or 3 setups. I'm not convinced that we're going to hold up in the into tomorrow and the rest of the week with the light volume move we're seeing to the upside, but we'll see what happens. Okay, first thing I want to do is flip through the results here, and I'm looking for bullish charts. Looking for strong charts in a strong market. Now, just because it's light volume move to the upside the market's putting in doesn't mean it's not strong when it's putting in 2% days. It's a pretty big move. So looking for strong charts in a strong market that aren't extended. A lot of what we see, obviously, is going to be some bearish charts. Everything's kind of selling off here after the past few weeks. So the ones that aren't are the ones that are going to have the best opportunity to keep going. I'm not really looking for a reversal trade. Definitely looking for more of a continuation. Let's see. KRA, I don't know, very kind of light in volume here. It's got some decent room, I think, before it hits resistance. There'll be some resistance right in here. About 1560 or so. It's testing the 20 EMA. It has a pretty big range. I think we can probably see. Hey, how you doing, man? How's everybody doing? Room back to 17 bucks potentially here, with some stops along the way at the 50, just like it stopped at the 20 EMA today. Let's take a look here and just see if there's any kind of news or any fundamentals we might run into. All right, it's got earnings coming up. So I'm gonna put this one as a standby. In case I can't find a better looking setup. Not the best looking setup, but it's the first decent looking one I've seen off the scanner so far. All these are reversals, and you get this sharp parabolic reversal here where big move down, then a sharp spike back to the upside. This is a chase here. It's already kind of back to where it dropped off from, so there's really no setup, but this is a good looking reversal. Let's see. All these are going to be down trending stocks here. See all these things rolling over. Get this little doji here. See something that looks good. Whoa. Obviously, we've looked at this one before. I mean, there is just nothing that looks amazing yet. Oh. This looks just like KRA. Look at this chart and look at the other one. Very similar charts. What is this? Whoops, that's not even the right one. Another parabolic reversal. This one's just trading sideways here. This one's in a pretty tight channel. You can see here it's just kind of bebopping around between $15 and $16.50. Vitamin Shop. This is one I have traded before. I mean, look at this thing. Been trending down since 2014. This thing has been losing value. Anyways, it has sold off, put in a double bottom, bounced off the double bottom. Looks to be curling up through the 50 and the 20 EMAs here. So let's just look at this. Our potential long over the 31 area. Where do we have room to? Definitely have room to 31.40. That's actually not a bad look right there. You have previous support back here. You have resistance through here. And resistance over here. So, and there's support up here. So I think what we can do is we might say, let me just check the fundamentals on this one here. This one again has earnings coming up next week, so this might be okay. The market stays strong. We get a lot of shorts to cover before the earnings. This might have a chance at survival. Whoa. Oops. Whoops. Alright, in this, you said IPHS. Let's take a look at IPHS. IPHS, not a bad look. Let's see. Very light volume. I don't like that it only trades 140,000 shares. Although today was a light day in the market for volume, but looks to trade on average. At least for this scanner to return a result, it has to trade at least 150,000 shares on average. However, this apparently did not. This didn't meet the criteria. I don't know what the 5-day average volume is, but it's got to be at least 150K for me to have it on the scanner. Not to mention, it needs to have a high relative volume day over day. So this isn't a high relative volume day. This is kind of just drifting here. It does look like a relatively decent setup. Let me get this thing out of here. It looks good, potentially. If you get over the 50 here, maybe a starter over the high is 28.14. So starter over 28.14. I'd look to add at the 50 EMA here. It's also going to be right around the support area at 28.78. So you really have to get through this area up in here before you have room to this area just above it at $31. If you can get through the 28, 29 area right here, this line, if you can get through that, you got room to 31, no problem. So if you get a running start on this, maybe over 28, not a bad look. Or 28, whatever the high was, 28.15. It's a decent look. Alright, continuing on here with the scan results. Let's back this out a little bit. Another parabolic mover, big sell-off, nice sharp rebound. That's what we like to see. All this junk is just really drifting with the markets for the most part. Not a lot of their own legs to stand on. This thing, Vera Bradley here, we have the sell-off. Probably earnings gap down, earnings gap down, earnings gap down, earnings gap up, earnings gap down, and then it looks like we have big earnings gap up, and then another one down or sell-off here into the gap. Anyways, this little double bottom here. It's closed literally today. It closed at the 20, the 50, and the 200 moving average. But it really just looks like a bear flag. I mean, look at these charts, are just horrid, man. Another parabolic reversal. Okay. Alright. Man, there are just not a lot of good looking setups out there. Oh, one of the things I wanted to check was the chart on IBB. This thing, obviously, most sector ETFs are going to move around a lot with the market. This one is no exception here. It's coming up to resistance, which is right here at about 270 or so. If the market stays strong, this 270 area will likely be a place that we might see the IBB fail. Would keep an eye on this particular spot for a short opportunity and move back lower under 270. I'd look to use maybe a vertical spread for this. You could do a bear call spread or a bear put spread here. Once it gets up to this area, it's worth taking a look at, though. It's something I wanted to keep on watch, because I think by the time it reaches here, the market is going to be soft enough and at resistance also that we might see move back down to 180s. All right, another sell-off, not looking good. Okay, this one, I mean, just not super clean charts. Okay, all of these are just crappy setups. And we could filter out most of them just by looking at them. Something in a super strong downtrend that's only traded up the last 3 days because of what the market is doing. I mean, everything's up with the market, right? Very few stocks are going to be declining in these market conditions. Here's a nice little not liking much of what I'm seeing here. Staying away from financials, although they've been hit the hardest. This is a nice look into the gap here. Big gap up here from the other day. Just a lot of junk. All bearish, and all of a sudden the market's bullish, and so everybody wants to play along. Yeah, I'll go over the what I think the S&P is going to do here in a minute. Just looking to see if I can find another decent long setup. Not really liking most of what I'm seeing today, though, which is not surprising. I mean, every chart that's been weak and oversold for the past, week or two is putting in a reversal today, so it's going to trigger a lot of false alerts. But, you got to search through them all to find the one that has the nicest setup. Just a lot of noise in here, though. This guy's breaking out here. Finally leaving this little sideways range. Got room back to 15. It's at 13. There'll be a stop along the way here at 1371 or so, whatever this little shelf is. Right in there. Let's see if that correlates with anything else. Oh yeah, of course, $15, right? Previous support from back in October of 2014. Nothing. And then boom. Fast forward to December 2015, and we tap that same area from 2014, and we finally break down through it. We're reversing up above it. This might be okay for a long. Let me just check on any potential earnings coming up. Not till May. So this thing came off of earnings earlier in the month. I like this one potentially for the move back to at least $13.70 short term, but $15, especially if the market holds up. It's been consolidating for quite a while here. It's a very strong base. down here. Despite these wicks, this thing kept getting bought up. And then finally the buyers took control in these market conditions. So now we're in more of a bullish trend after leaving this nastiness. So we'll see what happens here. This is definitely one to keep on watch for potential. Dang. What the hell? All right. Excuse me. Just blast through these. This is an interesting look. Not a lot of room. Okay, so pull up the SPY here. You asked about the S&P. Oh, let me look at this individual stock first. BCE. Brandon wants to know about BCE. BCE. So we had this gap up today. It sold off. It hit this resistance spot right here, just shy of it, anyways. Gapped up. Everything. Remember, the market gapped up today, so a lot of stocks gapped up, and most of the time, not all the time, but a large majority of the time, I would say that stocks will attempt to fill the gap. So they'll fade, and then they'll either continue back up or they'll go right back to where they came from. But usually when they stop, they gap up, especially when it's just with the market, you're not going to see them hold. This did hold the 200 EMAs, this yellow line right here. So it's holding that at support. Over 42.25. Yeah, this thing could be it's a big support area from back in here. So also here. So we know it's going to be resistance right here. And I think we probably maybe have some room to 44 bucks or so, right around there, 43.90, $44. So it's not a bad look. Keep in mind, telecom has had a big run, along with wireless, cell phone companies. They've all been reporting a lot of big news and earnings and such. So they're all kind of in play right now, which is why you see this bullish trend here on BCE when everything else, this time frame, is pretty much bearish. So it's moving with the sector. It's definitely flagging out under this resistance spot at 42.25. Not a bad look. So I'd say, over 42.30, 42.25. You take this thing to 44 bucks or so. That's your target, short-term target. Say 44 bucks comes in. Previous support, support, and now it's resistance, or it's going to be resistance. So yeah, not a bad look there. As for the SPY, okay, so the SPY gapped up here. It's the only thing that didn't fill the gap. As of right now, it's at 190.22. It's after hours. The after hours trades are closed. So this thing will probably gap tomorrow again to the upside, which is impressive. We have a big resistance area at 190. Where did it go? We're definitely going to have trouble at the 194 area. You can see that in the past, since the beginning of the year, we have not traded over 194 for any length of time. So, that's not true, I guess, but we've only been in a downtrend for the first 3 days of the year. We were over 194, but we haven't made it back above. So for the last really, month and a half, we've been struggling at this area. It's tapped it a few times, and each time it's tapped it, it's fallen all the way back down to support. Nice big area, 181 support, goes all the way back to April of 2014, and that's the area to watch. If that area fails, definitely going to be something we can take to the short side. Now, if you have been watching the SPY, let me get a bigger chart in here. Okay, so here's the S&P. Zoom it out a little bit. Too far. Okay, let me get my little tools here. You can see the S&P has been trading in this massive range pretty much since back in October 2014. We have not made ground in the past year and a half in the market. So everything that we did starting with January of 2013 or January of 2014 has pretty much been undone. We're back 2 years back. We set ourselves back 2 years in forward progress here. We're testing this area down here. Like I said, it's been a very critical area. The first time we tapped it, definitely held up. The dip was bought. Second time we tapped it, it was a very parabolic move back to the upside. You can see, very sharp sell-off, very sharp recovery, right back to the highs. Hasn't tested that area again since back in August. We had this big test of it, very sharp recovery back to just below the highs. And then we sold off once again, and that's where we're at now in this most recent sell-off. We did tap it, we bounced up, and we failed to go back anywhere near the highs, and then we sold off, tapped it again, and now we're failing. Well, we haven't failed yet, but we're seeing this big extended move. We have 3 big green days here where the market's put in, 12 points. By the time it opens tomorrow, 10, 11 points. Probably where we'll open. Maybe we'll run up to 194. Maybe we'll gap to 194. We'll get 13 points from 3 days on the SPY here, and that would be a pretty extended move. I think, in my opinion, I think it fails the 193, 194 area, and I think we head back toward the lows. We may not break the lows, but each time we failed to make new highs, the lows get that much juicier looking for everybody who's watching that area. So something to keep in mind. This is very much a bearish chart. There's nothing bullish about it. The last few days have been nice. It's a relief rally, but it's not very telling of the bigger picture yet. And so with all the issues going on globally, this thing, oil has been kind of propping this thing up. Everything's so intertwined. One piece of bad economic data can send us right back to the lows again. And every time we test the lows, it gets a little bit more and more violent, more and more speculation about, longer term bear market and all that crap. So I think it's a bearish setup right now. I think we do test 193, 194. If we can get through it, then there's a chance that we can maybe get to the 200 area. If we don't get through it, then I think it's right back down to 181. And if that's the case, then I think we have a really good chance of breaking 181 and moving back down toward 174. And I'm looking to put on a bear put spread that will capitalize on that move. I got filled on the puts, but I haven't got filled on the short put side. I got filled on the long puts. So alerting those trades to our members. Going to leg into this one here, just depending on what it does. Keep in mind, if you're overall bearish, it's a good buying opportunity to capitalize on big market up days like this. If you're looking to buy puts, you can get them on sale at a real nice cheap premium. But that's what I think about the S&P right now. Normally, I don't like to speculate on the broader market, but in my opinion, I think it's weak. I think we go back down. Flip a coin. But that's what I'm seeing here. Now, obviously, when we're building a watch list for swing trading purposes, we definitely want to have long and short opportunities. We want to have bearish and bullish setups because, in the end, we don't really care which direction the market heads overall. We have a very short-term outlook. We're in and out of the market in a few days at a time, but we do want to have opportunities to ride things up and ride them down. So that's why all of my watch list consists of short and long trades. And if you guys got my email, if our members got my email, I'm going to start alerting a lot more options trades. I've had a lot of requests for more options trades. We get a lot of people who are inexperienced and they want all these trade ideas and trade opportunities, and it's not as easy as just alerting stuff and buying it and then alerting it and people can sell and everybody makes money. Obviously, a lot more goes into it than that, and so. I do a lot of options trading for myself in my personal accounts that I don't alert. So I do some iron condors, some butterfly spreads, some calendar plays, and so we are going to look to slowly integrate some more of these trade types using options to capitalize on these volatile markets, because it doesn't always make sense to trade long and short stock or just long calls or puts. A lot of times there's more money to be made with spreads and credit spreads, capitalizing on volatility, things like that. So there are other opportunities out there. We'll ease into them slowly, but You know, like I tell people, if you don't know what it is I'm talking about, you should not be trading it. You certainly shouldn't be looking to trade it with real money. Definitely take your time studying options. Look them up, investopedia.com, cboe.com, both great resources for learning about options and spreads and the different types of plays that you can do in options. So just a disclaimer there. They can be very complicated, and if you don't know what you're doing, they can be very dangerous. Okay, so we're going to finish up here. I'm going to look to the short scan real quick here. There's only a few names on the list, and most of them are going to be gold. Gold not having a good day. We got some oil names here. So one thing that I like about, okay, so I'm long USO. We did a buy right on USO. We're long 8,000 shares with covered calls, and we have like an 831 average, and so we're looking to get called out or assigned over $9 on our short calls. Don't know if that's going to happen or not short term, but as kind of a hedge against oil, look for a short opportunity on a company that may be ready to roll over here if USO or if oil doesn't want to continue its move up. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a hedge on an oil name if you didn't want to just buy puts or something outright. So RRC is not a bad look here. I've been watching RRC for a while. It's been on quite a tear. All the way down from the $20 area where it bounced up and ran to $32 in just a couple weeks. This one's been on the scanner quite a few times. You can see all these previous hits back here. These little triangles indicate previous alerts. And so now we're getting a short alert on it. And I do like the short alert here because this is a stock that has moved up quickly, has a lot of range, big ATR, and it would provide us with a nice hedge against oil should something happen in that area. So I like this for a potential entry under the 2550 area. I'd add to this under 2490, which is the low of today. So I'd scale in 2550, and then 2490 would be full size. And we'd be looking for a move down to 2270. You can see the support areas here pretty clearly. So we get short here. Get short here somewhere. Roughly, we'd get... first target here would be the 2280s or 22, we could say 22 is a little higher, 60s. And then after that, if we're really lucky, $21, there's 5 points here. If oil is going to continue its decline, we're going to let our covered calls expire worthless. We'll consider buying puts as a hedge, but I'd rather just wait until there's a spike in oil one day, and I'd sell more covered calls at a lower price, lower my cost basis, without having to accumulate more shares. So it's a long-term trade, it's a position trade. I did this exact same thing last year from December of 2014 through February of 2015, and we made tens of thousands of dollars on USO itself. We didn't have a specific deadline in place because it was very volatile, and so without having to accumulate and average down infinitely, we used options once again to manage our cost basis in the trade. So it ended up being very profitable for everybody who had the patience to sit through it. This is going to be no different. I don't know if oil's at a bottom. I don't know if it's going to bounce and how far it's going to go. Do I think oil is oversold? Yes, of course. I think that as we go forward, we're not going to find more oil on Earth. There's only going to be less, and as long as we're dependent on oil, supply and demand will take over. Will it be in our lifetime? We hope so, because we're holding long oil right now. But if not, then it doesn't. But in the end, oil's not going to go to zero. There's no way that people are just going to stop using oil overnight. So take comfort in that fact. And if you're holding it long term, there's no reason to be worried that it's going to be worthless on you. It might take a little while, but that's the name of the game. We diversify. We don't put all our eggs in one basket, and we have different strategies for managing these different types of scenarios. So for tomorrow's watch, we have 3 long names because I do think the market's strong in the morning. KRA, VSI, TMHC. To the short side, I definitely want to hedge in oil, which is going to be my RRC here. I'm also going to take a look here at my option scanner. I'm going to run out to dinner in a few minutes, but I'm going to take a look at my option scanner here and see what setups we might get tomorrow for some spreads. Like I said, I'm looking to leg into my bear put spread on the S&P because I do think that the S&P goes lower after going a little bit higher to test that resistance area. So if you're just joining us, I know a couple people just popped in here. Take a look back about 5-10 minutes into this video, and you'll be able to see the discussion on the S&P on why I think it goes lower, but not before it goes higher first. Other than that, I appreciate your guys' questions. If you have any other ones, email me, jeff@warriortrading.com. Like always, I get tons of questions from you guys that show up here on Ticker, and I always love to answer them and happy to help. So other than that, if you guys are members, I'm going to send out the watch list here in a couple hours, and we'll see what the market gives us tomorrow. Everybody have a good night. Thank you.